This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, thank you. So guys, welcome to everyone. This is a session on PD1 and we are doing it in combination with DecodeSF certification. So I will talk about a little bit about quickly, a little bit about everything, and then we will proceed. Last year we had actually a session with in person with Amsterdam Women in Tech Group where we have talked about fundamentals of development APACs, and people really liked it and they wanted to continue it with even further. We had plans like we will do a whole day session where we will cover all the important topics related to PD1, but then Corona hit and that got postponed and finally we decided we are gonna do the session online, and online we are going to split it in not a whole day session but split it into 2-hour session for each Sunday, and that will even help you to go through the topics and have your questions ready for the next session. So we have planned it like that. It's like in sync with how we do it in Decode. So hopefully it's gonna help you. So talking a little bit about Amsterdam WIT, we are group started in 2017 and we had done a lot of sessions. We really enjoy meeting each other and talking, but it's not an exclusive women's club. It's not like that. Men's are welcome. If you can see in the picture, there are men. We have more men sometime. But yeah, everyone is welcome. We always need allies. Now talking about the DecodeSF certification. So this is a group which we are running almost now from a year, and the focus is to go through each certification one by one. And I will talk about Decode in a little bit later. So today's session is basically covering the Salesforce fundamentals. So if you are a completely new person, don't worry. Fundamentals are covered, and the data modeling management. So today our star speaker is Saon Das. He is a CRM specialist. He has around 10 years of experience. He do development and he gives solution design. He's six times certified, and not only he has done PD1, but he has also done PD2. So yay, big claps. If you want to connect with him, you can connect with him on LinkedIn, Twitter. You can see. Okay, so my husband here, Manmohan Singh, saying your screen is small. Okay, I need to. I don't see. I need to pause it. You can say. Sorry for interruption, guys. He is giving me some feedback. Okay. It's recording. Yeah. Thank you, Manmohan. So Manmohan is my husband. We are living in the same house, but he is downstairs with his system and I am upstairs with my system, and this is his feedback. Okay, thank you, Manmohan. So he's our lovely speaker today, Sawan Das. Welcome. He's first time speaker in Decode, so we are very excited. These are rest of our speaker for the whole series. So some you may already know through as our earlier speakers, some you may know through being very active in the community. So I will just quickly tell you about them and then we can proceed. So Rohit Singh Pal, he has already given a wonderful session on community in DecodeSF certification, and he is an application architect, almost around 10 years of experience, and he's 8 times certified. Excellent chap. Thank you so much, Rohit, for being a speaker. Then we have Arpit. Arpit is also a lightning champion. You know, he has 7 super badges and 6 certification. all of our speakers have actually done Platform Developer I, so you are in good hands. If you want to connect with Arpit, you can have all the details here. Then we have Sharon. Sharon is also a blogger. He is 4-time certified, and if you want to connect, you have the details here. Then we have Prithvi. Prithvi is also a consultant, and he is also having, I think, 10 years of experience. If you want to connect with Prithvi, you have details. So these are specific details about the speakers we will introduce in their own session. I am going to proceed now. So Decode, I already talk about that. It's around a year old now, and we started with the concept that not how to do it, but why to do it, when to do it, and where to do it. So the approach is slightly different. The approach is not just to clear the exam, but also to understand in a way that it will help you in your real life experiences. And when you are actually have this knowledge and you go on job, you know how to implement it. So this is DecodeSF certification. We are not an official group, but we are Salesforce group. So if you want to connect with us, you have Twitter, you have YouTube. In YouTube, we publish all our recordings from all previous certification we have done. So you can connect with us on YouTube. And now a little bit about PD1. PD1 is basically, it's a little bit oriented towards packs and development related stuff. And it's actually, this is basic. So it's, although it says developer, designer, and architect, but it's also good for admins. So if you want to have a basic knowledge of packs, it's definitely good. You get 60 multiple choice questions in which 5 are unscored, and the total time allotted is 110. The initial registration fees is $200, and if you fail, which we don't want, you have to pay 100. Passing score is 65, so you can. The whole series in the PD1 is divided into 5 different sessions, and you can see the layout here. The first session is today, 7th of June, and it's covering 20% of the total exam weightage. The rest are in the details, so we have already shared it. You can go through it. It's just every Sunday. And then we have the agenda, and from this point, I would like to give this to Seon, our speaker, and just give me a minute. Seon, can you share your screen?
Not yet, Bhavna. The button is disabled.
Okay. Just a second, guys. Hey guys, really sorry, just a technical glitch. I'm not able to make Sean the presenter. So, Sean, meanwhile, can you do one thing maybe, because I'm already sharing the screen. You can start and you can let me know when to move to the next slide. Will that work?
Yeah, Bhavna, we can do that. Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
thank you.
So thanks a lot, Bhavna, and thanks for covering the initial slides and covering the introduction. And yeah, a very warm welcome to every one of you. Thanks for joining the session. And yeah, so basically today's session is regarding Platform Developer I, preparation of the certification and covering the initial knowledge base. Yeah. So Bhavna, can you share the slides?
Yeah, made you the presenter, so.
Okay.
You can see.
Okay, so I can share my screen now, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
In the
Fine.
same suggestion, can you make it full screen? You are doing it. Thank you.
Yeah. So guys, today's agenda is like we are going to cover a couple of topics, which is part of your platform developer one preparation. So we are basically going to cover about Salesforce fundamentals and data modeling. Uh, so the main agenda to discuss here is like these are the topics I'm going to cover. So it's like multi-tenant environment and how it is related to Salesforce and what is the advantages for that, and then my MVC architecture. And like in MVC architecture, it's a very general term, I would say. MVC architecture in Salesforce also we are following the same like MVC architecture. And then in Salesforce, declarative and programmatic customization, what are the customization we can do in Salesforce, and in which scenario we are going to do the declarative, or in which scenario we are going to cover programmatic customization. And then I'm going to discuss about data modeling. So which is part of like it will be covered as object fields and relationship in Salesforce. And then the main topic, this different kind of relationships. I mean, this concept is really important if you're starting in Salesforce. So I'll be covering those, and we'll be discussing about multiple scenarios, like based on the relationship, like which scenario should be covered in which relationships. And then part of data export and import consideration and how to do it in Salesforce. Okay, so let me go to the next slide. Okay, so now I'm not sure, like probably you guys, some of you are already working in Salesforce and some of you are not working in Salesforce. You might have started in some times back. So what I'm thinking about this slide is basically referring to like if you're planning to do some certification in Salesforce, or you know you started your career in Salesforce just some time back. So in that time, how to start it? So my suggestion would be like what you can do is you can go to Trailhead, you can create your account, and you can create some Trailhead playground or maybe some developer org. And in that case, you start with your couple of trail makes or trails that I'm going to share as well for PT1 fundamentals. So that's the way you should start it. So next slide. Okay. So in the fundamentals, basically, we are going to cover about in the agenda, whatever I have mentioned, like multi-tenant environment and MVC. Those are the things we are going to cover in the fundamentals, and the declarative and programmatic customizations. So now, okay. So guys, you can go through the the text, whatever I have mentioned in the slides, but I would say like just let's discuss further. Don't go to the slide and one by line. So you probably Bhavna or Manmohan can share the slides. You can refer it later. So what is tenant? So tenant is basically group of user who is sharing a common access with specific privilege to a particular software instance. So how this multi-tenant or single-tenant architecture comes into the picture whenever we are using software. So the thing is, like, consider like you are a user or I am a user and you're using particular software. So whenever you want to use a software, there is certain setup which needs to be there in the background. So consider like the software, if the software might be running in the app, and for that you need memory utilization, you need a CPU, you need some hardware, you need network setup. So those are the things you need. So as a tenant, like you are the user and you're using that particular software, so you'll be considered as a tenant. Now, what about single tenant architecture? So this architecture's compromises of a single user will be allocated to a particular single software. So it's like each software instance will be allocated to a single user. In case of multi-tenant architecture, one single software can be shared across multiple users. So if I consider about the advantages of multi-tenant architecture, so it's like the data configuration, CPU, memory, network. So these are the setup that will be done only for one software, and the same setup can be used in multiple tenants. So yeah. So yeah. So what are the advantages for single tenant? I mean, so far, if you can think about multi-tenant and single-tenant architecture, we can think about, yeah, multi-tenant is of course advantages for everyone, because it's like this, we are sharing the entire setup for one software and the setup is shared in multiple users. But there are certain advantages in single tenant as well. So the thing is, like, whenever we are using single tenant, so that time it's no, the control will be given to only particular for that particular tenant itself. So the control and the restability is also will be helpful. Like, consider you have a multi-tenant architecture, and in that case, your server or the software instance is completely got corrupted. So multiple users will not be able to use that particular software. But in case of single tenant, you consider like the software is only one software is got corrupted or it's not working. So in that case, like the user which is using that particular software, he will be the only person who is not able to use that particular software, but other users at the same time can use the same software. So that's the main advantage for the single tenant. But what about the disadvantages? So here in the disadvantages, yeah, there are multiple disadvantages. I would say in single tenant, the initial the most major disadvantages, like whenever you are setting up a single tenant architecture, the cost will be too much, because for each user you have to set up a complete new software setup, be it network, be it memory, be it configuration, data. So those setup needs to be done for each and every user, which is not cost effective. Yeah. So the same way, like for multi-tenant, the advantages like maintenance and efficiency, onboarding, and the disadvantages would be like security. Yeah, I mean, security can be handled in a separate way. But yeah, as your software is using by multiple tenants, and it is like from multiple scope it is getting used, so there is of course a chance that security breach can happen. Yeah. And for backup and restoration, yeah, there is some limitation in multi-tenant architecture where backup and restoration needs to be taken care. So consider like your software is corrupted. So in that case, none of the user can use the same software. Yeah. So that is the main disadvantage in multi-tenant architecture. Next, go to the next slide. Okay. So how this multi-tenant application is related to Salesforce? So the thing is, like, Salesforce, it's not only a technology. I mean, Salesforce as a company, they provide their whole setup done at their end. So whenever we are working on Salesforce, we are using Salesforce as SaaS, like software as a service. So that time we no need to worry about the network, the setup, the configuration, the memory. We no need to like consider those things. We can directly go to our requirement and we can design our system. What are the things needs to be done? We can do our data modeling. We can develop the requirement and we can test our functionality. Basically, the whole SDLC cycle, the software development life cycle, that we can start from beginning itself. Okay, so the next section we're going to discuss is like MVC architecture. So if we talk about MVC architecture, it's like model, view, and controller architecture, and it's not only related to Salesforce. So it's like I suppose most of the technologies we use, like JavaScript, Java, or any Spring Boot. So there also this MVC architecture is like very common to everyone. It's like architectural point of view. This is a very common architecture process. So here the thing is like the architecture is completely divided into 3 interconnected components. One is model, one is controller, and one is view. So if you talk about model, so model is nothing but the database which is residing in that particular I would say in that particular architecture. And if we talk about you have to put some logic, you have to put your business requirement to execute those logic. So that can be put in controller section. And view is nothing but whenever you are accessing the browser and what exactly the user is viewing in the browser. So that will be covered as part of view component. So yeah, so this slide is for your reference. You can refer it later. So like the model, view, and controller, I just mentioned whatever I'm just discussing with you. The same thing, I'll just put it over here as well. So just yeah, the example I can show you, like consider like getting customer information manipulated and updated back to the database. So what I mean to say is like, you want to fetch some customer information in your company. So that time like you have to access your model, like you have to access your company's database. So the company's information is stored in your company's database, and to access those customer information, you have to fetch those details from the database. So which is part of your model. And in the view, like you are accessing the customer information and you're accessing in the Chrome browser. Consider in Chrome browser, you are just clicking some button, and that time you're basically viewing the customer information from the database. So the view, the scenario of viewing this customer information will be considered as part of view component. And the controller, you are considered like you have different department in your company, and you want to access a particular customer information for a particular specific department. So you can put some kind of checkbox. Like based on this checkbox, the logic will be executed in the controller section. So you want to view some customer which is having the country code as India. So if you put that India checkbox, then the complete logic will be executed in the controller part. Okay, so this slide is basically one extra slide, I would say, other than MVC. So Salesforce is following also the MVC architecture, which is universal to many frameworks. Other than that, Salesforce is also using Lightning framework, so which is built on top of MVC architecture. So why Salesforce has come up with the Lightning framework? So I would say like, yeah, MVC architecture is it's a good architecture where we can do particular kind of action, but the Lightning framework is it's quite easier and easy to build. So it's like whenever we are using Lightning framework, it will on top of MVC architecture, we can put some extra logic, we can put some extra operation in that. So it's like it's kind of a responsive application. We can use Lightning framework, and it's really easy to put. I mean, in the latest stage, probably you can I mean, the other mentors can be focusing on some of the Lightning framework, maybe Aura or LWC. So it's like very user friendly and very lightweighted, I would say. Okay, so yeah. So let's before I move it to the next section, so we can discuss one question. So the question is like, what type of code represent the controller in MVC architecture on Force.com platform? So there are like 4 options. Out of those 4 options, there are only 2 options, which is yeah. Guys, can you go on mute, please? It's too much noise. Hello. Sorry for the interruption, guys. Yeah. So out of this 4 options, only 2 options are correct. So the question says, what type of code represent the controller in MVC architecture on Force.com platform? Option 1 is JavaScript that is used to make a menu item display itself. Option 2 is standard controller system methods that are referenced by Visualforce. Option 3 is customer Apex and JavaScript code that is used to manipulate data. And option 4 is a static resource that contains CSS and images. So guys, I want you to just think about these options, and out of the 4 options, only 2 options are correct. You can put your answers in chat. We will discuss it like after 1 minute.
So anybody wants to guess? There are so many guesses, 2 and 3, 2 and 3. Oh, it's a universal answer. So 2 and 3.
Okay, fine, guys. So yeah, the correct answer is 2 and 3. And just for your information, why you guys think like option 1 is not correct?
So Anisha replied, JS is for the backend.
Yeah. So Anissa, yeah, I mean, J is not exactly for the backend. If you talk about in LWC, whenever you are going to use LWC, you can see like in LWC also we are using JavaScript framework over there, so it can be used in front end as well. But yeah, if you go through the option, like in the first option it says JavaScript that is used to make a menu item display. So it's kind of a display and which is occurring in the UI level. It's not putting any logic or anything. It's simply just fetching the menu items and it's displaying in the UI section. So if the question says it's related to the controller, which is correct, like the option 2 and 3 is the correct answer. Okay, let me go to the next topic, guys. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about declarative and programmatic customization in Salesforce. What are their advantages, and we'll be discussing like the scenario when we are going to do that, perform that declarative approach, and when we are going to take this approach as a programmatic customization. Okay, so the point is like, what is declarative customization? Like the guys who are new to Salesforce and the guys who are using Salesforce, they they have option to implement the customer requirement as many ways. But why we are going to select declarative first? Why not programmatic if it is also achievable in programmatic customization? The thing is, guys, declarative customization is which is already provided in Salesforce. It's like we can implement in Salesforce using click in the browser, based on point and click in the browser. So it's like you no need to write a separate class or coding type of calculation to reach the requirement. So those are kind of consideration like declarative, like I would say like building a formula field or creating a custom object, or this kind of stuff will be considered as a declarative. And in case of programmatic, it's like you are writing a code, you are writing a trigger, you are writing a Visualforce page. So those will be considered as a programmatic customization. So the advantages for declarative customization is like it's really easy to develop. So to do the development, you no need to have to be Salesforce developer at all, because you don't need that programmatic logic or implementation to be aware of. Like you no need to be JavaScript knowledge you have to have, or Java knowledge or Apex class knowledge you have to. It's not like that. You can directly go through the steps and you do the development declarative customization. In case of programmatic, it's little I would say to reach some complex requirement, we will be considering programmatic customization, and in that case, little knowledge of code is also required. Okay. So now the thing is like there are multiple things for declarative customization. So as you can see, like this this slide is this slide says about workflow rules, process builder versus trigger, or maybe validation rules and trigger, and the roll-up summary or formula fields. How we are going to put that? So whenever the consideration should be like whenever you are getting the requirement and you have to implement in Salesforce, you have to think like whether your first approach would be how you're going to do it and why you're going to do it. So like if you're going to implement something, so in that case you have to think like whether I can do it in configuration or not. So in that case, like you have to think like whatever Salesforce is providing us already, can we just click on something and do it that way, or is it mandatory, really mandatory to put it in a code? So this slides, I mean, in this session, I will not be able to cover each and everything. Probably in further session, it will be those topics will be covered like workflow rules, process builder, trigger, and flows, and roll-up summary and everything. But I want you guys to think about those things like before writing any trigger. You have to think like, can we do it in a process builder, or can you do it in a validation rule, or maybe formula field? So you have to think that like that way. So these are the comparison you have to do before developing something in Salesforce. Next, go to the next slide. Yeah. So it is basically related to the data modeling, and it's really important in Salesforce. Like it's covering 13% of your entire exam in exam section. So this section will be having 13% weightage, and here, so basically we'll be discussing about object, fields, relationship, and how these are related, and when to consider which relationships. So those kind of scenarios also we'll be discussing after our slide is covered completely. Yeah. So this slide is specifically for the newbies, so who is not having much knowledge about Salesforce or probably any other technology. So in this case, like basically I'm talking about, this slide I'm talking about database and DBMS and SQL. So database is nothing but which is like it holds your data, it manages and store your data. So anything you do in the world, any operation you do it, you have to have a database. You need a database. So whenever you're fetching the data, you need a database. You can fetch the data from database. Whenever you are updating or performing any operation like delete, update, or insert, the operation will be performed later in the database. So database is mandatory to do any, for data modeling, database is one major root section should be there. It should be there. DBMS, it's database management system. So this is nothing but a software for storing and retrieving user data while considering appropriate security measures. So I would say it's kind of a wrapper on top of database, and it will be considering some security measures to retrieve your data from the database. So SQL, SQL is nothing but structured query language. So this is a language to fetch the data from database. Like in UI, whenever you getting information for a customer which is having India as a country code. So basically in the background, you're writing your SQL query is getting, getting fetch the data. It is getting it's basically working, and it's fetching the data from the database. And in case of Salesforce, we are using SOQL, which is Salesforce Object Query Language. It's nothing but similar kind of SQL, I would say. Okay, so the continuation, yeah, it talks about tables, columns, and rows, and this is also very basic level component which is required for database. So table is nothing but a collection of related data and metadata, and all your data in a database, it basically stores in a table. Columns, so this is nothing but the definition of your information. So consider like your account, I mean one customer in a corporate organization. So the customer's first name, last name, these are nothing but a column. You can consider the first name, it's part of a column. Even for the last name, it's part of a last name column. So whenever we are writing, saving some record in the customer customer information, so that time the record will be created. It will be considered as rows. Next, go to the next slides. Okay. So in Salesforce representation, the thing is like in the top, it will be considered as object, which is nothing but a S object. So in Salesforce, there are two types of object. One is like standard objects. So whenever we are using Salesforce, there are particular modules or objects which are already there in Salesforce, like account, contact, order, product, so cases. So those are standard object which is provided by Salesforce, and to modify that, yeah, on top of that, we can put our own configuration in that objects. Other than that, to achieve our requirement, we can create some other objects as well, which will be considered as a custom object. So if you can see, the top is like object, and yeah, these are like divided into two parts. Like one will be like standard, which are nothing but a predefined objects, and in custom, it is developed by the developer or the admin, and the fields is also nothing but equivalent to database columns, and fields will also have standard fields which is provided by Salesforce, and some custom field based on our requirement. We can modify some custom fields. So in Salesforce, there are certain fields which is by default, which is created whenever we are going to use Salesforce. So the identifier field, which is nothing but the ID. Sorry, yeah. So identifier field, which is nothing but the ID, that is like holding the record ID of the Salesforce record. So these fields will be automatically created for each and every record, be it standard fields or be it custom field. Other than that, there are other fields as well, which is like will be considered as a system field, like created date, created by, last modified date, last modified by, and name. So those fields will be considered like whenever you're using any object. So those objects will have these system fields inbuilt, and you cannot modify these system fields. And custom fields, yeah, custom fields will be having, based on your requirement, you can put some logic, and you can create your custom fields with some data type, specific data type. And in Salesforce, whenever you're using custom fields, this is usually identified by __ C suffix. Okay, next. So this slide is covering, showing the relationship between fields, and this is a very important slide, I would say, in my whole session today. And this relationship is talking about how fields are related in Salesforce, and how many types of relationship are there. So I'll explain I'll try to explain each and every relationship in developer work. So I have created one developer work. In that, I'll be showing you like how this relationship is important. But this is kind of a visual representation of the relationship. If you can go through this slide. So relationship can be one to one, one to many, and many to many. So the thing is like I'll just give you a real-time scenario. So consider like in India or maybe all over the world, one person can have one unique identifier card. Like in India, we have Aadhaar card. So maybe in other country, they have some unique identification or UID card for each person. So it's like one unique person will be having one unique card. So this is nothing but a one-to-one relationship. So in case of one-to-many, so consider like any employee in an organization can hold multiple laptops or multiple desktops. So in that case, like one employee can have two laptops or maybe one laptop, one desktop. So it's basically multiple that can be done in one employee. So in that case, it's like one-to-many relationship. And so for many-to-many relationship, it's like you are having case and object bug. So it's like one case can have multiple bugs and one bug can be associated with multiple keys. So this relationship would be considered as many to many. I'll show you a demo in my developer work how this many to many relationship happens in Salesforce. Yeah. And for relationship type, there are two types of relationship in Salesforce. One is lookup and one is master detail. So lookup is basically, in the latest slide as well, I have covered the consideration and important factors for lookup relationship, and again for the master detail relationship, you can refer it later. But for lookup, it's like loosely coupled and it's independent, ownership and sharing rule. So like consider like one account can have multiple contacts, and they're also like the contact is it's not only, I mean, it can be work in a independent way. It's not always dependent on particular customer or parent object details. In case of master detail, it's like tightly coupled, I would say, and the detail object, like the child object, basically will inherit all the details from the master object. And in case of lookup, there are other types of lookup as well. So it's like a like one is like self lookup. So consider your system is having a bug, and the bug number is like 12345, and the same bug is also related to another bug, and that number is like 9, 10, 11, 12. So that number, the first bug and the second bug, bug 1 and bug 2, those are related to each other, and but those are basically storing a using the same object of reference, which is nothing but a consider the custom object bug. So this will be considered as a self lookup relationship. So hierarchy lookup relationship was also there, and this special type of lookup relationship is only used in user object. And in Salesforce, I would say like in a scenario like consider like I have a team, and I'm leading 5 members in a team, and all of them are reporting to me. And in that case, like all of them are having a field called the lead will be having my name. So basically, it's like the user object, they're using the user object, and that user object will be having a hierarchical relationship with another user, and that another user will be having my details. Yep. And other lookup is like external lookup is also there. And in this case, it's basically, your master object is basically residing in other system, not in Salesforce. So basically, it will be considered as a external object. And indirect lookup is, in this case also, the detailed object will be, will be residing outside Salesforce. That will be considered as external object. Yeah. So I'm not covering, this slides like the lookup relationship and master detail relationship, because already I have covered in the visualization slide. And yeah, even this slides as well, like different kind of relationship. Okay, so let me go to my developer org. Yeah, so this is my developer org, and here let me go to setup. And I can go to object manager, and just to save time, I have created one custom object like bug. And if I go to the object here, and let me create a new field, and let me select lookup relationship over here. Let's click on next. And consider this lookup is associated with account object in my org. Let me click on next. Okay, I'm giving the field name as account as well. Okay, let's click on next. Let take this visible, and it will be visible for all profiles. Yeah, the layout has been created. Let me click on save. Okay, let me go back to here, and let's click on and give bug 1. Let's save it. Yeah, so you can see like this bug object is having a record, and here I have created one lookup relationship. This account field is nothing but a lookup relationship field. And if I click on here in account, I can see like it's asking for asking to provide a new account. I mean, provide an account basically. So if I search, if I put something, so I'll get edge communication. Okay, so this edge communication is nothing but a record which is there in account. Let me click on save. So basically in this bug record, this edge communication is a account record and also related to bug record. So now if I click on edge communication, it's navigating to account itself. So this kind of relationship is nothing but a good example of lookup relations. So now the thing is, if I go back to slides, and if I go here, like whenever we are talking about self, so consider like if I go to the bug record again, and yeah, so this field, consider I can create a new field which is related to another object, which is nothing but the bug object once again. So like bug 1 can be associated with bug 2. So that time we can use a self lookup relationship. And in that case, the object we are going to select is the same object in where exactly we are creating the new field. So in case of hierarchy lookup relationship, so this option is available only for user object. So you need to go to user object, and you can create a lookup relationship with hierarchy type. And in case of external lookup, so the object right here, so for the field account, we have selected object like account, but in case of external lookup, the object will be kind of a external object, and it can reside in Salesforce. Like for that as well, we need to set up some external service, which will be getting the details from the external object details in Salesforce. Yeah, so this can be, I suppose this will be covered in later presentation. Not in this session, maybe some other session it will be taken care. And in case of indirect lookup, so it's like the detail object will be residing in the external world, like not in Salesforce. Yeah. So let me go back to the slide. Okay, so yeah, this slide is basically completely focused on junction object. What junction object is. So like whenever we are talking about many to many relationship in Salesforce, the primary thing is like the junction object needs to be taken care first. So to give you a real-time scenario for many-to-many relationships, it's like consider like one job posting site is posting multiple job alerts, like job 1, job 2, job 3, and multiple applicants are also there, like applicant 1, applicant 2, and applicant 3. So that site is having no restriction, like one applicant can have post apply for multiple job. So applicant one can apply for job 1, job 2, and job 3. Again, the job 1 same way can be associated with applicant 1, 2, and 3. So it's nothing but M is to M relationship, which is nothing but a many to many relationship. So I'll go back to my developer org, and I'll try to create a junction object. And yeah, for that, what I have done is like, yeah, this object is custom object I have already created as a bug object. And if I go here, let me first go back and let me just, okay, let me delete this record first. I'll tell you why I'm deleting the created record. So now I'm in bug object, and if you can see another thing, like I have created a custom field over here. This is nothing but an account field, and this field is having __c, which is nothing but representing a suffix __c, which is representing our custom field. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new record. Okay, and here I'm going to create select the master detail relationship, and let's click on next. And related object, consider I'm selecting account itself once again. Okay, so in the field level, let me put like related account. Again, for name as well, I'm going to put like related account. And you can see like this child relationship name is auto-populated, which is having the value as bug1. Let me click on next. Okay, and it is already visible for all of the users. Let me click on next. Next. Save. Okay, fine. Let me go back to Object Manager once again. And I just want to mention one more thing, like for demo perspective, I have created another object over here. And this object is also, you can see like it's a custom object. I have the API name says it all, like it's having __c. And I'm again going back to my bug object, and I'm going to create another field, and it will be having a data type as master detail relationship, and it will be related to the other custom object that I have created, which is order detail. And the field I'm going to put is like consider, I'm going to put it as related order, and in the field level as well, it's related order. And the child relationship name is also populated automatically. Let's click on next. Let's click on save. Okay, so basically what we have done so far, so we are having, bug object, and we have created two fields, custom fields. You can see one is like related account and one is related order, which are having, _3, which is nothing but a custom field, and those field type, data type is master data relationship. So basically, we are connecting this bug object with account object, and other one is like order detail object. So for junction object as well, like to implement that junction object logic in Salesforce, what we need to do is like we have an object, and this object is related to two different objects. One is account and one is order detail. So this account object and order detail object, these are not directly linked, or no relation is there. So what we are doing here is like we are rather using bug object, which is having relation with master data relationship with account, and we are also having relation with order data. Okay, so let me do a couple of setups more. Let's go to bug layout, and I can check the okay, I can check the fields. Okay, those fields are already there. Okay, nothing to worry about. Let's go back. Let's go back to account. Let's go to page layout. Let's go to account layout. Okay. Okay, so I am in account layout and related list, and you can see this bug object is related in account, as we have created a master data relationship in bug object. And I'm just going to edit this bug layout in related list, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to select related account and related order, which I created as part of our custom field creation in bug object. Let me click on save. Okay, let me again go back to order detail. Let me go to page layout, and the same way I'm going to check how the page related is having showing the columns for related list. So here also I'm going to select account number and account name. Let's click on save. Okay, fine. Let's go back to our bug. Let's create a new bug. Consider and give it demo bug 01. Okay, for this account, I'm selecting any account. Let's click on what happens next. ID. What happened? Okay, let me go back once again. Let me search it. Let me refresh it once again. Probably that was not refreshed. Okay. Yeah, that was not refreshed properly. Okay. I'm giving a name. And here in case of related object, I'm giving an account. Oops, I don't have related order created. So what I need to do is I need to create an order first. I need to create an order. So I'm opening this order object first. and here I'm creating a new order quickly. So order 001, I'm clicking on save. Okay, now let's go back to bug and let's create a new bug. So bug 001 and the related account, any existing account I'm selecting, and in the order I'm selecting the order. Let's click on save. Okay, so now you can see like we have created a bug object, bug record, and yeah, this bug object is having two master data relationship. One is like account and one is like order detail, which is a custom object as well. And you can see this bug object is having related account as account record name, and it's showing the order as related order as an order 001. Okay, so now let's go back to the order details, and you can see like here the order is having related object as bug, which is bug 001, and also here it is showing us like the account details, but we don't have any connection related to the order and account directly. So what exactly we are doing here is like we are in between order detail object and account object, we are creating a new object which is bug and which is having the relationship with account and order detail. So thus basically we are connecting those account and order detail object via bug object. So this is an example of junction object. And in case of like for using many-to-many relationship in Salesforce, your approach should be such that like you are going to use junction object, and there will be one primary relationship, which is for bug object. I created the primary relationship as account, so it's like Salesforce automatically consider this first master detail relationship as a primary. So the account relation was primary one, and for order detail it was a secondary one. Okay guys, so let's go back to our slide. Okay, so now let's talk about the scenarios, like how we are going to approach, like how we are going to decide like when to apply, go for master detail, when to go for lookup relationship, how we are going to do that. So there are some limitations are there based on the relationship we are going to use in Salesforce, and along with that some limitations are also there in for custom object, and the limitation for number of lookup relationship can be used, number of master data relationship can be used. So now the thing is like I have a relationship, like in my case, let me go back to DevOps once again. Yeah. So here consider like you are having bug 001, and at the same time you have a requirement like one bug can be related to other bug as well. Like there is another bug which is having interrelated to bug one. So in that case, what you need to do is like you can clearly go with cell lookup a relationship, which will be relating the same object once again. Yeah. So in case of lookup, when you are going to consider lookup relationship, so when the master and the detail object, like the child object, which are independent of each other, so there is no such dependency on master object, and how the sharing rules or the inheritance will be taken care based on the master object. So in that case, if it is not related, in that case we should go for definitely for lookup relationship. And you can also say like whenever I'm going to create this bug object which is having one lookup relationship as an account field, we can see that I have created first, and then we have related account and related order. So you can clearly see like this account field, which is a related lookup relationship field, this is not a mandatory field. But in case of like related account and related order, those are like master data relationship I have created, and you can see like star before that. So those fields are mandatory. So like whenever you have a requirement, like yeah, this parent account should be, or parent object details should be decoded. So in that case, definitely you should go with master detail relationship. Yeah. So let's go back. Yeah. So what is formula field? Like if I go and what is next? Roll up summary field. Okay. Let me go back to my org again. God, what happened? Yeah. So if I go back to my so setup, if I go back to my setup and try to create a new field in any object, so you can see like there are data types which are there, like auto number, formula, lookup relationship, master detail relationship. And now you can just, for your information, you can see like, yeah, this master detail relationship is disabled because, you know, maximum for an object, we have a limitation, like only 2 master detail relationship can be present in an object. Okay, that is the limitation we have. Now, what is a formula field? So formula field is nothing but, you know, based on your particular like requirement, you have to calculate the value of the field dynamically. So consider like based on your order value, like if the order name is 001, then in that case, we want to show the bug object as, yeah, the bug is already closed. And in case of other than bug 001, the bug is already open. So in that case, you need to think about like we should go for formula field, because based on other field condition, you can put some field to be executed dynamically. So that's the formula thing. And like to give you one simplest example is like based on, you know, if I go to opportunity and let me open any opportunity. So yeah, so this opportunity, you know, having a value like amount, okay, and you have a requirement like showing a field in opportunity itself. Like if the amount is like greater than $10,000, then in that case, that new field should be checked. Okay, and if the amount is less than 10, that new field should not be checked. So in that case, you have to calculate it dynamically based on some other field value. So in that case, what we are going to do is based on the field of amount field value, we are going to calculate and populate and show that particular checkbox value in the UI. So that way you can think of and you can proceed with creating a formula field. Okay. And what about roll up summary? So roll up summary field is nothing but when it's basically the first and foremost criteria for roll up summary field is like whenever you know your master data relationship is involved. Okay. So what it says is like consider like for in our case, like we have a bug object, and in bug object we have, you know, account field as a mandatory field, related account field as a mandatory field. So same way what you can do is like you can create another bug object, and that bug object is also related to the same account, like edge communication. So in that case, what would happen is like in the master object, you can create a new field type as a roll up summary. Okay, and in that case, you can use couple of, you know, predefined function in Salesforce, like sum, count, max, or min. Okay, so the same way, like in account field, we can create a new field. Sorry, in account object, we can create a new field having a data type as roll up summary, which will be counting, you know, the number of bugs which is associated with that particular account. Yeah. So in that case, you no need to write a separate code or maybe trigger to populate any other custom field. So in that case, what you can do is like we can simply proceed with roll up summary field. Yeah. So let's go back. Okay. Okay, now let's discuss about a question. Okay, so the question says like universal container wants to track when existing account is updated and by whom the record is updated. Okay, so my requirement is like basically any existing account when it is updated and who has updated that particular record. So I have four options like create two custom fields to track time and update it by, write an Apex trigger to populate two custom fields when changed. So definitely we can do that. Like we can write a trigger on top of that account object, and whenever those two fields are like changed, in that case like anything is changed, and in that case we can populate any custom fields. And other than that, we can write a class as well, like to put our like implementation, and whenever the update is happening, then we can execute that class to populate the two custom fields. And other thing we can do is like we can use system fields to track this. So guys, just take your time and just you can update in the chat. We'll discuss once again. Okay. Someone is saying 2. Okay. Any other answer, guys? Okay, 4. It's 4. Okay, couple of people are saying 4. Okay, okay. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, let me tell you the answer. Yeah, the answer is correct. 4 is the correct answer, and because we are already having system fields created, and this is independent of standard object or custom object. So definitely in system fields we can track it like we have last modified date and last modified updated by. So those fields will be having one is like date time format, which is having this when the record is changed, and other field is like by whom the record is modified. So definitely the correct answer is 4. Absolutely correct. But here also like the same way, like we can use Apex trigger as well. We can use like custom Apex as well, like class. But yeah, like definitely we can use that as well. But here we are going for a declarative customization, because this is already provided by Salesforce, and then we can track that particular field as field in our scenario. Yeah. So yeah. Next question. Okay. So next question is like a field is required on a custom object. Okay. What would be the best practice to make the field required? Okay. This is a very simple question. So we have a custom object, and we are creating a new field, and consider like the field is required. So how a developer can achieve this? Okay. So our first option is like a validation rule can be created to identify when it is empty. Okay, we can do that. A trigger can be implemented to check if field value is null or not. Okay, we can write a trigger on that particular custom object, and we can check any particular field value is null. Then we can put some error message thrown. Yeah, we can create a lightning component. Okay, lightning component can be used to call an Apex class. Okay, to check if any value is present. So basically, we're talking about we can use lightning component, and from that lightning component we can call our Apex class, custom Apex class, and we can check that field which is mandatory is having a value or not. That we can do. And the fourth option is like a field can be made required by checking the required flag in the definition. So this means like whenever we are going to create the field, so that time there is a checkbox. What we can do is like that required checkbox we can check to make it mandatory. Okay, let me go back to the chat and let me just check. Okay. Okay, someone is telling like 1 and 4. and most of the folks are telling 4. Okay, guys. So basically, yeah, definitely, the answer would be 4. Like, it's a very simple question, and yeah, we can make a field mandatory while creating the field itself, and also like other option is also doable. We can do that to make a field required. But here also, like Salesforce is providing us a very simple thing, like for making a field required, we don't need to put our custom logic in that or maybe write it in a code. Okay. Next. Okay. Next question. And here it says like which 3 statements are true about master detailed relationship? Okay. So we have a master detailed relationship, and for that, what are the statements out of those 5 are true? So you have to select 3 answers. Okay. So first option says deleting a master record in master detail relationship deletes all related detail records. Okay. Second option says master detail relationships cannot be converted to a lookup relationship. Okay. Third option says detailed relationships can convert to a lookup relationship if no rollup summary field exists on the master object. Okay. Next option is master detail relationship cannot be created if the custom object on the detail side already contains data. Okay. And the fifth and last option is standard objects can be on the detail side of a custom object in a master detail relationship. Okay. So guys, take your time, just have 1 minute of time and you can write your answers in the chat. We'll discuss. Okay, let's go back. Okay, check the chat. Okay, okay, many different answers. Someone is saying 135. Okay, some other are saying 134. Okay, someone is saying 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, it's time to discuss it. Okay, fine. 135 once again. Okay, fine. Thanks for your answers. Okay, so here let me go with each and option and discuss it what exactly it says. Okay, first option says deleting a master record in a child in a master detail relationship deletes all related detail record. Okay, which is the correct answer. So first option is absolutely correct. So in master detail relationship, the master is a mandatory field for the detail record, and whenever we are going to delete, the master record, so automatically the detail records will be deleted. So this is because that the cascading of data. So whenever you're creating the master detail relationship, the relationship and the sharing and inheritance will be carried forward from master to the child record, I mean child object. And in that case, like we have an option like the to select the cascade deleting. So automatically, like whenever you are deleting the master record, automatically the cascade will happen to the child record as well. So basically option 1 is absolutely correct. Okay. Next option says is master detail relationship cannot be converted to a lookup relationship. Okay. So this answer is not correct. Master details relationship can be converted to a lookup relationship. Okay. So I would rather say like you go to your developer org and you just try to do that. I mean, you can just all the 5 options you can try to do it in your dev org. So the concept will be pretty much clear in that. Yeah. The third option says detailed relationship can convert to a lookup relationship if no rollup summary fields exist on the master object. Okay, what does it say? So you consider you have parent object as an account and you have child object as bugs that we have gone through in the demo just sometimes before. Now what it says is like you have another field in the parent object which is a roll-up summary field, and that roll-up summary field probably it is counting how many bugs you are having in the account for a particular account. So if you're having that, if you're having a roll-up summary defined in your parent object, so in that case, detailed relationship cannot be converted to a lookup relationship. That cannot be done. So starting itself, it says detailed relationship can convert it to a lookup relationship. To do that, you should not have the roll-up summary defined in your parent object. So that is the requirement. So this is correct answer. And for the fourth answer, it says master detail relationship cannot be created if the custom object on the detail side already contains data. Okay, which is also a correct answer, because whenever you are creating a master detail relationship, so in that case, the custom object on the detail side should not contain any record. Okay, so like you can remember just also in the account and bug object relationship demo, I have deleted one bug record that I created earlier. So I told you like just let me just delete this. I'll come back to you later. So the thing is like I was creating another master detail relationship in the bug object, but the bug object were also already having one record. So first what you need to do is you need to delete the record, and then you can proceed with master detail relationship field creation. Otherwise, now your question may come like you can ask me like if my production org is already holding some data in the custom object, like some huge amounts of data, and I can't delete those records. In that case, what I'm going to do? So in that case, what you need to do is like you can create a lookup relationship in the custom object first. So if I don't want to delete my existing record, I can create a lookup relationship, and that lookup relationship can be converted into the master relationship later. That way you can do it. But this option is absolutely correct. Okay. Next option says standard objects can be on the detail side of a custom object. No, it's not feasible at all. So for master detail relationship, the first requirement is like standard object has to be on the parent side. Okay, your custom object cannot be set as a parent object. So in that case, what you need to do is like if you have two custom objects, so in that case, one custom object could be parent and one could be a child. But in case of one custom object and one standard object, the standard object should be at the master side. So which should be a parent account. Okay, guys. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Yeah. So here comes the next topic. So which is related to data import and export. So like whenever you are working with Salesforce, so you can come, we can come across to a scenario like where you can, you need to export the Salesforce data to from your organization like Salesforce org, and you have to provide the data to other third party. And also you can come across like you have a third party system, they are providing the legacy data they are providing, and you have to import the same into Salesforce. So that way, what thought process you should consider, and what should be your thought before importing or exporting the data. Okay, so Salesforce provides like by default, import wizard, which is available in Salesforce org as well. So if I go back to my DevOps, like if I go back to setup, and if you search over here like import, Yeah, so there is import wizard which support some standard object to be loaded, and all of the custom objects can be loaded here. You can see like these are the standard objects you can see in my DevOps, and custom objects that I've created like bugs and order details that can be inserted as well. Yeah. So if I go here, what are the options? You can see like you can add a new records, you can update some existing records. In that case, you need to provide some external ID field, okay, which based on which you will be updating the records. Otherwise, you don't know like your record should be updated or it's not present in Salesforce. You need to create it. In that case, it's basically you can select this option, like you can proceed with new and update existing data. So basically it says it performs the operation as observed. Yeah, and you can select your CSV file over here and you can do it. Okay, I'm not going to demo, complete import wizard demo. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, this is the thing. And other than that, we also have an option like we can use Apex data loader, which is also part of Salesforce, and you can get it from Salesforce community as well. So you can do Apex loader as part of import and export as well. So here also, sorry, I just forgot to mention like your import wizard is having a limitation of 50K. So whenever it is like importing a record around 50,000 records, so in that case, we can use Salesforce data import wizard. But if you're having more data other than 50K, and you need to import it in Salesforce, so in that case, probably you need to go with Apex data loader, or you can use some Apex in solution. And also for Apex data loader, some other more advantages are there. And in that case, like you can save your mapping, like Salesforce column mapping to your CSV column mapping, that also you can do. So definitely Apex data loader is having some more advantages on that. Yeah. So I am almost, I'm done with my slides. So let's come back, and this is a question and answer session. If you guys have any question, you can ask me. Okay. Okay, guys, any questions? You can ask me. You can post it in the chat box. Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Yeah, Shyam. Krishna here.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah.
I want to know about the cross formula object, cross formula field, like how we can use it and what it means.
Yeah. So cross formula field is nothing but a formula field, I would say. And let me go back to it's in my dev org, and so this field is nothing but it's kind of a formula field, and formula field, like I said, like a formula field cannot be modified or edited. So the thing is like whenever we are using formula field with the field depending on the field of the same object, like I mentioned, like if I go to opportunity, and if you're having a new field which is based on opportunity, guys, you can go on mute if you're not speaking, huh? Yeah, thanks. So if I talk about opportunity, so consider like your opportunity having a new field, new formula field, which is calculated based on the field on amount. Okay, so in that case, that formula field will be called as a simple formula field. Okay, so we are creating a new field, and that is depending on the value of the same object, another field. But in case of cross object formula field, it's like you have created, consider in the opportunity itself, you are creating a new formula field. So while creating the field, you have to select the formula field data type itself. But in the formula field description, the formula you are writing based on some other object. So you can say like opportunity is related to account as well. And based on account type, you are going to decide your new field in opportunity, what value will be populated in that. So consider your account type. If it is a new account type is new, then this opportunity formula field will be new. and your account type is like existing, in that case opportunity type would be existing. So basically we are getting the details from other object reference. So that is called as for cross object formula field as well. And to represent that, basically you have to go to you have to go to the new field creation and you have to select the formula field. But in the formula editor, you have to give the account object relationship dot the field name. So basically account dot probably account type. So based on that, this field will be decided. Krishan, anything else? I mean, you're getting my point, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Any other question?
So the certification will not go in super detail on those topics, right? Because I know there's some limits, for example, on the cross-object formula fields, like the long text fields, you cannot grab them. But such things is not.
Yeah, I'm getting a point. Yeah, I'm getting a point. Absolutely. I mean, see, the thing is, like, I have a window of like 1 hour and 30 minutes, and yeah, it's not to show each and everything. Yeah, absolutely, that is not visible. But definitely, like, you can reach out to Bhavna, the organizer, or maybe you can reach out to me over LinkedIn or Twitter, or maybe probably you can mail me as well. Like, yeah, I can do that.
And just adding on to the sound points, we have a WhatsApp group. You can put the question there so we can answer. And if we see there are a lot of things which are pending and needs attention, then we can add a last session in the series called review session, and we are going to cover all the topics. But that is completely depending on if we have that much material to have one complete session on it. Otherwise, we can just have over chats, or as Sound said, that you can have it on LinkedIn or other social media channels. You can contact us.
Okay,
I just would like to give you a short tip. There's an official Salesforce certification day program, and if you attend there's a 5 hours free training. There's a $100 discount on the certification. Just to let you know, I found it. I posted in the chat.
Yeah, correct. I mean, yeah, it is there. I mean, if you guys can also participate on that webinar, yeah, definitely we'll get a $100 coupon from Salesforce. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you so much for sharing the link. Yes.
Okay.
That will be also helpful.
Yeah, so I can see like Anantapalli is asking like, is there any material for preparation for PD1 certification exam? So Anantapalli, as Bhavna has also mentioned, like you can add yourself in the WhatsApp group or maybe a couple of social media group as well to get yourself updated with the certification program and kind of knowledge sharing, or if you have any doubt, you can ask there as well. But the thing is, like, I would suggest, like, when I started my career in Salesforce, like, yeah, Trailhead is awesome. Definitely, you should go with Trailhead, and you can search with basic Trailhead module. And for PD1 also, you can find the Trail Mix mentioned in that certification section. So you can proceed with that Trail Mix, and you can gain quite a huge knowledge in Salesforce. Yeah.
And just to add on that, actually our sessions are based on those topics. So if you are going to attend the session and the one mentioned the certification day, I think that will be good enough. It will cover everything which is needed for PD1. So I think that is what you need for preparation. So you will get everything along with Trailhead and Trail Mixes.
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah. So what could be the use case to use the hierarchy lookup relationship?
Yeah. So It's consider it's kind of a, first of all, it's a kind of a spatial relationship, I would say, and it is only available for the user object. Okay, and consider you have a scenario like whenever you have an account in Salesforce, like in user also, in user object also, a record will be created on behalf of your name. Like the record user first name, last name will be having your username, first name, your mail ID, and everything will be populated over there. And what you can do is like in your organization, like you are basically reporting to someone. So okay, so in that case, like you can create a new field in user itself, and that new field will be based on hierarchical lookup relationship, and that lookup relationship will be pointing to another user record. Okay, so consider like in your corporate world, like in your company, you have your lead, you're reporting to your lead, and that reporting to field, which is a hierarchical field, can have your lead details, like lead user details. Yeah.
Like a
Am I?
self-lookup of a user object itself.
Yeah, correct. So probably let me just okay. So it's like basically what I'm trying to say is like consider it's only user object, okay, and you will be relating you'll be basically related to another user, okay. So this user is nothing but your user, like user one, and probably your name, and this relationship will happen to your lead user. So this is like user of your lead. I mean, you're reporting to your lead. So here, what will happen is like basically we are creating a new field, and this field will be having reporting to. Probably consider like the field name is reporting to. Okay, and this reporting to field is nothing but a hierarchical lookup relationship. Okay, and this field will be having, I mean, getting the record ID of the user of your leads. You're getting my point?
The user lead is the custom object or
No. It's not a custom object. It's only user object.
it's a user object only, but where the
Yes,
value is holding for lead object. Okay,
yeah, correct. No, not lead object. It's not.
It's the leader of the user, like supervisor.
Yeah, supervisor.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, I understood. So it is more
Yes.
like a self lookup of user objects.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sam, this is Fergal here. In the situation where you had two master relationships, one was from the order details and the other one was from the account to the bug. In the situation that order details was not always available, and we were talking about the roll-up. In this case, you have no issue making that a lookup because there's no roll-up summary. Is that correct?
I'm not getting exactly what you're trying to. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, if a roll-up exists on the master, and if there's been some roll-up field created, my question comes down to if there's none there, you can just change it from a master detail to a lookup. So in this case, you can change the related order which you have down there. You can have it as a lookup. And in the situation that there is a roll-up on it, is by just deleting that field, is that enough for you to be able to go and recreate a lookup?
No. So the thing is like, I'll just explain this point once again. So consider like you have two objects, okay? So basically you're having, object A, probably this one I've made like object A and object B, and it's having a relationship as a lookup, okay? Okay. So in case of lookup, we don't have any issue, okay? Now the thing is like, consider your parent object is A, and you're having, here also you're having a roll-up summary field, okay? Roll-up summary field. So first of all, this roll-up summary field will come into the picture whenever you are having master detail relationship. Okay. Now consider this is a and B in is having a relationship as a master detail relationship, and A is having a lookup summary, roll-up summary field as well. Okay. Now, if you try to convert that master detail relationship to the lookup relationship, it will not happen. It will not allow you, because this field, roll-up summary field, is only associated for the master detail relationship. So what you need to do is you need to update this field first. You need to remove this field first, and then you can proceed to change this master detail relationship to the lookup relationship.
Okay, and when you say change, you mean delete?
So basically, a change means if you have any existing field, you can again go to edit of that field and you can select the data type. So what I mean to say is, like, whenever you are creating a new field, you are going to select the data type, right? So that time, whenever you are having a master data relationship, in that case, you are going to change the data type field. So same field, you are going to change the data type from master detail to lookup relationship. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Anything else?
Yeah, I think we are good. And if you have any further question, it's good that we go post it on WhatsApp group, or you can contact Sean. I think because we will be already running over time, so
yeah.
If it's okay, can I take? Can you go to the slide, Sean?
Okay. Yeah.
So hello? I would like to. Hello.
Hello, Bhavna ma'am.
Yes.
Can I get a recording of this session?
Yes, yes, of course you will get the recording. We will share it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
We will share it on DecodeSF certification YouTube channel, so you can subscribe and we can it over there. Okay, so I would like to thank Seon. This was like really informative, and thanks for all the work you did. It's very detailed, and if some of the things are missing, we know we have a time constraint, so that's the reason it got missed. It's not actually missing. It's purposefully left out. In details, if you want, as I said earlier, we can, if the topics is huge and we have a lot of topics to discuss, we can add another session as a review session in the end. But if not, you can just post it on the WhatsApp group, and there are so many intelligent people already there, so one or the other person will definitely gonna answer your queries. And the next session is, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, sure. By Arpit. And it's basically focusing on process automation and logic. And that was also one of the reason Seon didn't get into details of all the process automation related points. So join us next Sunday, 14th of June. And would like to thank you all for coming, joining, having patience, learning, and wish you all a very nice weekend. Thank you so much, guys. And I'm stopped recording now.
Thank you.